In today's segment with the Higgins Firm, we're talking about the large number of cases they handle where people have failed to receive their overtime pay for the work they performed. Attorney Jim Higgins with the Higgins Firm recently stopped by to talk about why this happens and how some employees don't even know they're entitled to overtime pay. Take a look. Jim, great to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
All right, we know your employment division at the Higgins Firm handles all kinds of employees who have actually not received their overtime pay for working more than 40 hours a week. So why are these referred to as wage theft cases?
Yeah, well, that's what we call them, and I think other firms that do this type of work, like our employment law division, call it because that's just what it is. You know, people are coming into work, they're working their 40 hours or more than 40 hours, and their employer is just intentionally not paying them, making them work off the clock. And to us, it's really nothing more than stealing. I mean, that person's not home with their family. They're not out at the lake. They're sacrificing their time for their employer, and they should be paid for it. I mean, it's simple. And a lot of employers will just simply try to increase their profits by not paying overtime, and it's nothing more than stealing, we think, in a lot of these cases.
It's just not right. So today we're going to talk about the most common overtime pay myths. We're going to start with the first one. This is, if an employer pays an employee a salary, the employee is automatically exempt from overtime.
Yeah, that is probably one of our most common. And people think, and I don't know if employers, sometimes I think a lot of times they realize it, but they'll just pay someone a flat salary, whether it's out of laziness or whatever. And if that person works 40 hours or 50 hours or 60 hours, they're still getting that same salary. And a lot of people just generally think because they're a salaried employee, they're not entitled to overtime, but that's not always the case. It really is not how you're paid, but what you do. And if you do hourly employee work, then you ought to get paid that overtime.
That makes sense. All right, overtime pay myth number 2 is an employee's hours may be averaged over 2 work weeks when determining whether overtime is due.
Yeah. Now, that's another one. Somebody might say, well, you worked 30 hours last week and 50 hours this week, so we'll just make it even. And it's not true. Overtime under the FLSA, under the law, says it goes from a certain week period. Now, that might start on a Monday to Monday or a Wednesday to Wednesday or 1st to the 7th or whatever, but it has to be consistent.
Okay. And the last myth is giving employees titles such as manager, office manager, stockroom manager, executive, etc., exempts an employer from paying overtime.
Right. And again, that's one of those things that a fancy title doesn't make it so. They may say, hey, we're going to make you an assistant manager and pay you a salary. But if you're still doing that hourly work, if you're not hiring people, not firing people, not setting schedules, you're not doing manager type skills, then it can often just be a way to get around not paying someone overtime that they deserve. You know, and in any of these cases, if someone didn't get the overtime and they were entitled to it, they can get their time back. They can get a penalty, which is double what they're owed, and they're supposed to also entitled to have their attorney's fees paid under the law.
Okay. And what's surprising is a lot of people don't know that they are entitled to that overtime. Why is this?
People just don't know. A lot of it, it's not something you sit around being educated on unless it's what you do for a living. So any of those folks, I think if they just aren't sure, they're welcome to call us. We can usually tell pretty quick if they're entitled to it or not. A lot of times people don't even want to bring a case. They just want to know where they stand, and we don't mind talking to people.
And Leslie, so when should someone contact your office? Just right away?
Yeah,
when they suspect something?
Sure.
All right, helping out a lot of people. Jim, thanks so much.
Thank you.
The Higgins Firm is serving Tennessee. Give them a call at 615-924-8500 or go to higginsfirm.com.